I'm Kalosha, and I will be presenting a qualitative approach to understanding the student experience of safety and campus police. According to the Neek School of Education Center for Education Policy Analysis, there are two reasons for police presence on American school grounds. One, as a response to school violence, specifically a publicized mass shooting event at a school, and two, because of available grant funding to create such a program, which is to say, because of fear or because of the institution can afford to say why not. We will first review use of force and disparity among demographic populations. There is no benchmark for reporting use of force against non-white people, which means no one knows the true statistics of use of force and how it is leveled against black and POC. Use of force 99% of the time leads to arrest, and black men are 50% more likely to be jailed for non-violent crimes. This all makes sense when you square that with stats and show a significantly higher portion of the prison population are black and POC, which begs the question of why. Numerous studies have shown how detrimental it is for students of color to have police on school campuses. Police contribute to the school-to-prison pipeline. Things that were once handled informally by the schools themselves are now considered to be crimes and have created a police-induced crime wave, where youth are being sent to jail almost exclusively in black and Hispanic young men in low-income neighborhoods. Discrimination against POC is not just affecting adults, but youth in the same manner. Children are being affected due to carryover from previous law enforcement encounters. We are using a humanism-informed constructivist paradigm to obtain qualitative data through the collection of virtual surveys and the conducting of live interviews in our pursuit to understand the on-campus experiences and personal perceptions of UWB students of color. In accordance with humanism and constructivism, we believe both that knowledge, especially of socially contextualized phenomena, is often but not exclusively created in community with one another. If the historical track record of the police as a violent and discriminatory agency precedes modern officers, placing them on a campus that has among the top 5% most ethically diverse student bodies in the nation may fail in its effort to improve a sense of safety among campus goers. The research is to review 1. The historical development and persistent institutional patterns of American policing, 2. The contemporary BLM movement, and 3. The thus established impact of placing armed police officers on campus at UWB. The respective purposes of these selections are to provide a contextual groundwork for the subjective experiences of racially marginalized students, to make clear the social and political stakeholders in the UWPD contract, and to make use of existing similar research. American policing originated from white Southerners as a response to the increasing black population in the 17th century slave state. The transition from a still formalized but not yet institutionalized slave patrol in the Carolinas to modern-day police came as a result of population booms in cities like New York, Boston, Philadelphia, and Chicago in the beginning of the 19th century, a population spike that was largely a result of immigration. Historically, there has been a strong connection between anti-immigrant and anti-black organizations, as well as the police. Since 2000, connections between the KKK and law enforcement have been exposed in more than a quarter of American states. This is problematic for obvious, understandable reasons, but it gains profound weight when contextualized with the FBI and DHS identification of white supremacists as, quote-unquote, the most lethal domestic terrorist threat to the United States, FBI and CIA. Further, according to the Mapping Police Violence, an independent research collaborative dedicated to tracking and compiling police killings, black Americans are 3 times as likely to be killed by police than their white counterparts. It is no wonder that even before the police murder of George Floyd and the nation-sweeping protests which followed, less than half of African American adults rated police ethics highly. Moreover, as of the 2018-2019 school year, not even half of the SOC feels safer when police officers are present on school campuses. This works into the fact that since their conception at the Seattle campus in 1968, PSUs have been demanding that we reimagine what campus safety means. This research utilizes a qualitative approach to generate new data with which to compare against the 2021 Campus Safety Survey. This survey fits the qualitative approach because we are asking open-ended descriptive questions that will give us answers that will guide us deeper into our findings. Since it has been 1 year after those results have been tested, we are expecting to have different answers because of how different time is now and how it has been affected since being in the middle of a pandemic. We understand that some answers may be similar since we are measuring if there had been a significant difference, and that the first survey was just taken a year ago, but with our in-depth questions, we think that we will have useful answers that we'll be able to use. The purpose is to regard the accuracy with which the former survey reflects the representation of everyday living experiences of racial minorities at UWB, with specific focus on the dynamic and impact on these students in light of having on-campus armed police present. Data will be collected through interviews and surveys conducted with UWB students. The way we will be collecting data is through the use of QR codes, so that it will be more accessible rather than using a link. We have also held a town hall meeting to share our research. We made sure to create a space where students are able to speak their minds as well as taking account of demographics of each student. We are comparing our findings with the conclusions of the 2021 Campus Safety Survey. After reviewing our findings, we expect to illuminate and collect accurate representations of our findings to help initiate a more honest solution and institution. The sampling strategy that we will be using is stratified so that we limit any possible errors we may come across and may get the best results we can by separating people into groups of social class, age, and so on. With the 21st century came an increased accessibility of recording technology such as cameras, smartphones, and tablets. Consequently, mainstream news media and especially social media saw a boom in circulating documented instances of police brutality. Personal and political conversation about the allocation of resources, practices of accountability for police officers, and the meaning of justice began to sweep the nation. BLM protests tore through the nation, and an abolitionist attitude seemed to spread with them. Although University of Washington's Black Student Union's demands for removal or disarming of campus police have long preceded this new wave of demonstrations, their calls for action gained new traction, leading to the creation of the Advisory Council on Campus Safety in 2018. This council created the Campus Safety Survey, CSS, which promoted this research. The CSS was, for all but a single question, strictly a multiple-choice survey, leaving no room to measure or even acknowledge that critical element of safety which speaks to the subjective experience of real students on campus. This proposal involves conducting research to collect qualitative data to measure that subjective experience in an effort to answer the question: do armed police officers on the Bothell campus of UWB positively contribute to the subjective experience of safety among students, especially those of color? The purpose of our research is to generate new knowledge of student experience with which to compare the quantitative data from the survey conducted in June of 2021 by the Advisory Council on Campus Safety. By collecting qualitative responses, we will be able to gain insight on SOC interactions with police on campus and whether their responses have changed since last year. We hope the results from the interviews will raise awareness and improve campus safety measures in order to facilitate a safe and comfortable environment for all students. In addition, the contribution of our study can reopen future conversations about safety between UWB and students, where students' questions and concerns can be heard and addressed properly. If the conclusions of our research are in contrast with the conclusions of the Advisory Council on Campus Safety, we will have provided a reason to initiate a complete review of ACCS data and potentially a significant redesign of the Campus Safety Survey to collect more accurate and reflective data. If the results of our research reveal similar results to the ACCS, however, then the decision to renew contracts with the BPD may be more well-bolstered, and the design of the CSS regarded as more valid. Additionally, we believe that the dissemination of former findings is a matter of ethics, given that the student tuition funds any and all institutional contracts entered into by UWB, and because it is this population occupying campus and interacting with UWPD, it is both the right and responsibility of UWB students to have this information. Dissemination of the former findings may provoke a broader dialogue, a change in community behavior, or even policy updates that reflect the conclusions here. Dissemination of the latter findings may foster better trust and positive regard between UWPD and the student body, thus, in theory, improving campus safety. Regardless of our results, we intended to use a multifaceted, multimedia approach to dissemination. After gaining permission from the Club Council and ASUWB, we have intended to host an open town hall to share our research and invite an honest, open dialogue regarding the topic of campus police and the results of our work, and b. publish posters summarizing the research with a QR link to the paper itself around campus, but specifically in high-traffic areas such as bathroom stall doors, eating areas, and lecture hall doors, and c. submit our paper to UW Bothell ACCS. These dissemination methods aim to foster the creation of community and knowledge, expand student awareness and engagement with administrative decision-making, and support the ACCS through validating or challenging their research as appropriate, respectively.